Good morning, Kuna. So last night there was a hearing for three subdivisions that were passed. The first two went pretty smoothly, and then the last one was a rough one. And this will be an example of where you can see state law, where it basically says you can't just arbitrarily decline a subdivision or a development just because you don't like it. You have to provide reasons, otherwise you face lawsuits from the developer that can go up to a judge to have the judge overrule it. We'll go over the deliberation. It goes into all of the details of what I was speaking of. Now, just to give an idea of the other, to compare it with the other two subdivisions that went by without many problems. Those tended to be much further out, and you can watch these hearings directly, um, through the City of Cuna's website if you care, or sorry, the YouTube website. So here you can see, I can give just a kind of an idea. Let me see if I can highlight this. Here we go, of where these are located. So one of them was off on Lake Hazel Road. So you can see it's pretty far off, pretty far out, and I believe the zoning was in, relative to whatever was here. And I think it was like maybe annexation or something like that here. This is, yes, an annexation and a comprehensive plan map. So, it's pretty far out, and that you run into a situation where if the city of Kuna refuses to annex it, then the developer can just go to Meridian, the city of Meridian, and have it annexed, or even Ada County and just have it developed. And likely it's going to get developed anyway, especially if it's not super high density usage. I think it was matching whatever was the density in the surrounding units. And then the other subdivision, which was the first one, the one I just showed you is the second one. The other one is like way out here. So once again here, it's pretty far out. The impact to the main city dwellers or to the center area is not as much. So, and once again, I believe it was. Yeah, I didn't really watch the details. It went by pretty fast. Oh, R4 medium density residential. I believe that's like 4 homes per. I have no idea what R4 means, actually. All right, so let's go to the meat, the main reason of this, and this was the big one that you'll see as a controversy. Now, this one is, let me see if I can go back and get the actual address, and then I can jump to it. So this is, I pulled this up from the actual agenda packet here. Okay, it doesn't seem to have a specific address. It's about 80 acres. So south of Hubbard Road and east of Meridian Road. So let me pull that up here. South of Hubbard Road and east of Meridian Road. Okay, so here it is. So it looks to be about like this section right here. And you can see there's already a little bit of development. So right along this main road right here. And the reason why this becomes important about where they're developing it, and I'm going to pull up here, is this is the future land use that was adopted in November 1st, 2022. Now, to the extent that the existing council members were involved with this process, I don't know. But the reason why this becomes important is because, how I was saying, it was off of Meridian Road, I believe, Hubbard and Meridian. So in this little square right here, you can see here that the future planning use is already allocated as red, which is commercial, and I believe mixed use. Where's mixed use? This pink, purplish, I don't know what you would call it. So right here. So you can see that red is the commercial, and then the pink area. Now, anyway, I'll let them. I mean, they go pretty in depth about every single aspect. You'll see none of the city council members actually want to do it. And what you can see here is you can see quite a bit. There's some pushback, and I think let's see if I can find where they have where they want to close the discussion and actually start delivering it. Oh, the other thing, which is going to be what you'll notice when they talk about this, is here. The developer is allocating about 10 acres of land to the school, or they worked with the Kuna School District. Now, keep in mind, this is in contrast to one of the other developers that said it was extortion. They didn't want to have, the landowners, the Japanese company or whatever, didn't want to cut a deal. Maybe they will. Maybe they go to Ada County and try to get it passed through. In that one, I think that was like October that happened. They just declined the annexation. This one, I believe, is more complicated because I think it's already in the city limits. So the developer is basically asking for a redevelopment in accordance to this, and then to the comprehensive plan, how it's already zoned. And then on top of that, they got this letter because you can decline it if the school says no. But here, what they said specifically. Because this developer has partnered with us to mitigate the impact on education through a land donation on an adjoining property, we can serve this development. So they bought off the Kuna School District. Let's see. In order to reduce our reliance on bonds and to promote reasonable growth within our district that pays for itself, we generally seek partnerships with the residential developers of this area. Partnerships with developers mitigate the impact homes will have on Kuna School District and our ability to deliver services without compromising the quality of service delivery to current residents or imposing substantial additional cost upon current residents to accommodate proposed subdivisions or other developments. So, this is the playbook. This is how you do it. Unless they change this, which you'll see whoops. I gotta mute the other things. Hold on a second here. I'm doing this live. Hold on a second. I don't know if that did it, but anyway, anyway, you'll see kind of we'll go into further discussion here. Let me see if I can find the part where they talk about closing the public hearing and going to deliberation.
And we keep doing traffic.
East of Locust Grove.
All right. Looks like it's still going. And hold on a second here. I'm going to have to Control Alt Delete and force close this chat program so it doesn't come up.
Which will be developed inside the
Station and
of course now YouTube is throttling the video. 136. Let me see if I can refresh that screen here. There we go. Let's see.
Made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so they just closed discussion, and now they're going to discuss the issue. This will be going on for quite a bit of time, I believe.
Traffic.
As we're judging it, but I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Traffic.
Yeah, if I can step in on that one. I keep hearing a lot about the comprehensive plan and Compass, we're judging it, but I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And we've brought this up before, that for every time we bring in a proposed commercial, we have to backload the next 40 acres with apartment complexes to support the commercial that's up front. I don't agree with that. The traffic is becoming more, if you look at Meridian and you look at Boise, they're throwing up apartment complexes everywhere, which is causing the traffic problem. So I don't know how this can be the answer to our growth if we're having to put apartment complexes to support the commercial that's up front. D&B doesn't have apartments, Ridley's doesn't have apartments. I don't understand why we have to have this type of development that is going to create, personal opinion, a headache for traffic on Highway 69 when we're counting on ACHD, ITD, and Compass to look at this 2050. You can't predict that far out. Unless you keep doing what you're doing, you're not going to change anything. And we keep trying this, and no offense against developers, and please misunderstand, I don't mean to insult, I don't. I don't know why developers are bringing in these commercial going, hey, look what we've got for you, but we need all these apartment complexes. It's just money, pocketing the money for some people. It has nothing to do with Kuna. That's comment number one. I'll save two for later.
Well, I look at this just like the project across the street, it was very similar. Traffic issues on Ardell and 69. We had the commercial at the far back end with, this one's actually more units than the other one had, except the other one had an R20 designation on a couple of things. But, you know, I don't need a traffic study from ITD or ACHD to drive up and down Meridian, or we were just talking about it earlier, Hubbard, to know that adding more, I don't know, well, short of putting a stuff in an interstate through there, it's gonna make things better. So I'm really hesitant on that. On the positive side, love the cooperation with the school district, and that the school district gave their support to this. And also some of the improvements that will be coming to Locust Grove and Hubbard, and then Hubbard and 69. But I just don't know that the little bit of commercial is worth, I guess, that little bit of itch is worth a scratch for that much residential. On top of what's already pending, which is 3,000 to 4,000 units, I think, still. 6,000? Okay.
Well, if I could add in about the school district, I think it's great that developers are willing to work with them. But here's the foretold problem. The developer donates 5 to 10 acres, and if we don't get the bond passed, it just sits there in an empty lot.
That's what I was going to say. I look at it like, same thing you said with you did donate land, but unless they pass a bond, they're not going to be able to do anything on it. The sewer, we know we're still working through the trunk line agreement. It has to be put forth before, we can add anything else to the sewer there. Traffic obviously is going to be an issue. What we're having is everybody that's leaving up in front of Kuna, now everybody that's built down here is just going to sit in that traffic until they get lights at Ardell or overpasses, but that may be a while down the road. I'd rather see the commercial. The main thing that I talk to in our community is more jobs. They hate having to leave here to go to work. I'd rather leave it the commercial that it is, but that's just me.
Traffic. And to the, Mr. Mingus that brought that, when Hubbard gets bad and then Meridian Road gets bad, like he said, they start pushing on the other mile roads. They're flat in the morning, going up and down it. Personally, it's like a 50-mile-an-hour zone. If you're going 50, you're gonna get ran over. It's crazy, and it's that push to get around the other traffic taking this back road. Well, pretty soon we have all the other back roads.
And there was a project that was approved a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, that was behind Ridley's. That hasn't been built yet, right? And that's going to add to all that as well.
I just don't know that there's the demand, I guess, with as much as pending. We've had projects that are delayed because of the market and such, for this much new development.
Anyone have a motion? Do you have something?
For the record, Doug Hansen, Kuna Planning and Zoning staff. I just wanted to, just as a quick point, as a reminder, this is a rezone. This is already in Kuna city limits, so this isn't an annexation. So we will need a very deliberate motion as to what your basis in decision-making is for the project. And while our planning staff understands traffic, we're not the traffic experts. That is why ITD and ACHD comments on these projects and sets limitations to the projects and requires that the developers make these improvements as they go along and they build out their phases. And the intent for roads like Deer Flat and Hubbard and State Highway 69 is for mass amounts of traffic. That's why they're being constructed. And while it's somewhat counterintuitive right now, as these developments gets approved, we will have greater connectivity at these roads, which will actually reduce the traffic on some of these main roads because it will be more dispersed throughout the community.
Thank you.
Well, traffic wasn't the only thing for me. It was sewer connectivity to school. I mean, there's all three of the things that play into effect. I think we should take a look at it.
We talked about the development agreement before with the other one, about having this on the front end, the commercial on the front end. It sounds like it's totally opposed to it, but it wouldn't be practical. That's the way I understood it.
Anything else?
I just kind of feel like my hands are tied.
I mean, it's still in the city. We can just deny the rezone.
We still didn't close public hearing if you're
Yeah, we did.
done with that. Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Was I sleeping?
In case you missed that, one of the council members said, "I feel like our hands are tied."
No. It's like me with the pledge that day.
Yeah.
He said with the denial, you had to have specific reason, right, which obviously traffic would not be sewer. So what actually was he saying if we deny it?
Mark Bribe, City Attorney. I would be looking to the language in either your ordinance or in state code related to when you're considering zoning, rezone requests. And this is actually from, let's see, 67, 6511, subsection C of Idaho State Code. And it talks about some of the things that the board should consider. It says the board analyze, or the council, which in this year referred to as the governing board, the council is, shall analyze proposed changes to zoning ordinances to ensure they are not in conflict with the policies of the adopted comprehensive plan. If the request is found by the governing board to be in conflict with the adopted plan, or would result in demonstrable adverse impacts upon the delivery of services by any political subdivision providing public services, including school districts within the planning jurisdiction, the governing board may require the request to be resubmitted to planning and zoning commission, or in absence of a commission, the governing board may consider an amendment to the comp plan pursuant to the procedures. I'm going to skip that. After the plan has been amended, the zoning ordinance may then be considered for an amendment pursuant to the paragraph of this section. It doesn't really, it's kind of one of those oddities of how it's written. It doesn't really say, it talks about going and amending your comp plan for the comp plan issues. It doesn't really answer how to deal with the demonstrable adverse impacts on delivery of services. But up higher, sorry, I'm bouncing around here a little in code. Another part of this subsection 2A is the request submitted for amendment to the zoning ordinance, which this technically is, shall be submitted to the zoning or planning and zoning commission, which shall evaluate the request to determine the extent and nature of the amendment requested. Particular consideration shall be given to the adverse effects of any proposed zone change upon the delivery of service by any political subdivision, including school districts within the planning jurisdiction. So that repeats again, when you're considering zoning changes, you have to consider those adverse impacts to political subdivisions. They specifically emphasize school districts, but other political subdivisions would include ITD, would include ACHD, would include the fire district, would include I don't know if I said school district already, but you get the idea. So if you're going to say there's a denial based on those adverse impacts, what are the adverse impacts that were?
Did you say Public Works?
Public Works is a department of the city, and we are a political subdivision too, so we can, I guess, consider the effects on ourselves, obviously. And so if there's a sewer issue, what precisely is the problem that we're talking about?
So we can allocate 40 EDUs to it. That means they can't build anything more than that. So we can't really service that project.
For the record, Doug Hansen, Kuna Planning and Zoning, just as a touch point on that, currently, this is in the Danston Sewer Basin. There's more than 40 sewer connections available at this time. However, based upon the resolution from 2022, we determined that we would only allocate sewer connections 40 at a time. This sewer basin isn't 40 sewer connections away from being full. There's actually a significant amount of capacity within the Danston Sewer Basin after the fix was completed.
But what the one that we just approved, right, is in Danskin also?
Sorry, Mark Bybee, City Attorney. Again, I think what that goes to, Councilman Bruce, is just the timing of development. I got to double check, but if I'm looking up there, I think I'm looking at that image that's up there. Sorry, I should probably, for the record, refer to the right page of it. So it's a map that's on, it looks like page 136 of the packet. And we have a preliminary plat, not for that whole thing, but for a phase. And so these will serve letters tend to be issued by phases, and the phases can't come forward until there's new additional capacity. And so I do understand the issue with the city sewer issue, but it's also, if they wanted to come forward with phase 2, they're not going to be able to until there's capacity to serve. And so it's limiting their ability to grow at, I guess, the pace that maybe they'd like to, because if the facilities aren't there, then they try and bring another plat, the next plat's not going to get approval because there's just not capacity. And so we see this 6-phase plan. That's not what's ultimately that's the objective for this developer if they get this rezone, but that's not, the whole thing's not being decided tonight. It's one phase of it. Am I getting that wrong? Or is it the whole it is a preliminary plat, I guess I should say. So the final plats can't come forward for recording. You'll have this preliminary plat. I don't know if everybody realizes preliminary plats are not recorded. They can expire. That's why you get some renewal motions on them at times, is because they can expire. And if there's never sewer capacity, this could ultimately result in a situation where the remainder of the preliminary plat expires, and so you have one developed portion, and then the other phases never come to fruition. It can't happen.
Now, regarding the going back to the phase issue, or the phases, and then the developers, you can see here, they're requesting extensions. This was another video that I covered where there was discussion with the city council about under what conditions they can cancel. Instead, otherwise they just keep extending and requesting these and tying up what they call some kind of unit. Some residential unit, and preventing other future developments from happening. For that previous one, it was due to slower, the high interest rates, and they weren't thinking it was economically feasible. Most likely they couldn't get financing to build the buildings. Anyway, let's keep going.
I don't know if I made sense in all that rambling.
Well, that makes it tough. You got the school district that supports it, and you got ITD and ACHD that give requirements. They don't say they can't do it. They just say, this is what you got to do it. Fire district, they just have requirements of what they want for turnarounds. And
I get what the school district's saying, they got land, but, as we sit and look, we know that that's, right, I mean, we're not,
Yeah, why not?
it still falls on the taxpayer to carry that burden.
Sure.
You know?
Honestly, if it meets all the minimums, there's a whole lot we can say, it sounds like to me.
Well, that's what he's saying, but what are we here for
It's
then?
an apartment complex,
Yeah, I mean,
beneath the main building there,
Yeah, we shut ourselves in the foot.
well, I mean,
because it's already zoned, or it's already annexed.
well, but annexations and rezones are where we have the most power, so if, he's just saying he needs a reason.
Well, but that's the thing, is all the reasons they meet all the minimums, the bare, as long as it meets the bare minimum, I don't think there's a whole lot we can say.
Right, because our personal belief that the schools are overcrowded, which they are. They have been for,
Yeah, we
I don't
know.
even remember how long I've been in school now, 30 years. They were bad then, but the school's saying we're in support of this, so how can we say, well, you know,
Yeah, but
that's-
even-
what, yeah.
Yeah, but we've had sometimes, yeah, I get it. It's still a no for me. You guys can, I'll entertain a motion.
To do what? We can't deny them, it doesn't sound like. We can deny it in the rezone, but
Yeah, I mean, we like it as commercial.
So I guess I go back to Mark and ask the question. We'd like to see one designation, but is our hand forced that we couldn't say as R1 or C, I'm sorry, C1?
If you make the decision to deny the rezone, you're going to have to provide some, we're going to need to identify the adverse impacts of political subdivisions that essentially prompted that decision.
Of all the development.
Letter from the school district, is there an updated one?
For the record, Trevor
Yeah, it's
Hammond,
closed.
senior planner, the school district was notified in 2020 for official comment, and then they were also notified last year in June for comment, which they did provide a comment letter where they did offer their support. That is in your packet.
it just seems odd that, I'm just shooting in the dark here, but it seems odd that probably the majority of us sitting up here don't want this, and we can't do anything about it.
First time you've been there?
Pardon me?
First time you've been there?
Yeah, normally we're pretty defiant about rules, but
We've had lots of those.
yeah, this project just does not sit well with me. I mean, I could speak off the cuff, and I said I don't really agree with ACHD's traffic speeds, or traffic studies.
It's interesting, we're going from 76 acres of commercial down to 10 and 66 residential.
High dense.
And that's also one of the reasons why we are looking at redoing the future land use.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, when the mixed use came through, I didn't realize that these projects would roll in like everything from commercial to high dense.
That's definitely the way it is.
You guys got a motion?
Well, just so I understand this right, what Mark is saying, that we have no reason to deny this, and if we do, we're in trouble.
I don't want to I guess what I'm saying to be overstated. We just need to actually identify what those adverse impacts are. I think it's important to understand from my position, I'm not an expert on the contents of the packet. That's what your other staff is for. And so if you want to mine them as to concerns as to compliance with the, like comp plan or these adverse impacts on school districts, on Troy, I'd pick on him. He's the one that worked with the applicant. And so he'd be the more knowledgeable one on the contents of the submission. I'm just getting at really legally what's there, less expert on what's in the contents of the packet.
What confuses me about this is the comprehensive plan is a guide. It's not a Bible. But yet now we can't change it. Or we can't decipher what goes into that, even though it's a guide.
When you're asking, sorry, Mark, Bribe, city attorney.
I guess I'm making a statement.
And you can amend your comp plan, yes, you can, but I think what it's getting at is if you were to amend your comp plan, you'd have to go back through the notice and hearing procedures to do that before you could deny on basis for noncompliance with the comp plan.
Right, I understand. That's what I'm saying. For the comprehensive plan just being a guide, it pretty much just backs us into a corner. You know,
I do agree comp plans are a significant planning document, yes. If you or your predecessors set, because I've described comp plans, particular future land use maps, almost like an advertisement to saying, hey, this is what we want to happen with our city. This is our plan for the future. And so landowners, developers will come in reliance on what the city has put out there as its plan. And so the comp plan is a very significant planning document. Let's look at the future land use map, particularly as part of that. And there's other goals in the comp plan that could be, at issue. Again, I'd look to your planning staff for the particulars of what the goals and plans are in your comp plan. But there's more than just the future land use maps, or we have to step in other ways. We'd have to kind of go through and look, are there other issues with the comp plan that we're not satisfying?
Thank you.
At least we just issue a moratorium until we figure out the comp plan on annexations. That'll solve it. I'll entertain a motion from any of you gentlemen.
I just don't know if that would help in this case, though, with the.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's up to you, Council President.
Nobody's got anything, huh?
Well, we can. I can give you a shot, it's got blanks in it. We're gonna make a bunch of noise.
I just think we were elected to look out for the people who live here currently, right? And how is this going to affect them? And I get what he's saying, but we zoned it, we made it commercial. That's what we thought we were going to put there. This changes it completely to say that our hands are tied.
But unfortunately, that's a right. That's in our rules and regulations that,
Yeah.
hey, that's the way it was, but it doesn't fit now and we have to change it to this. I mean, it's already in the city. You know, and I agree, it's a drastic change from what it was to now, yes. I mean, it affects a lot of people, yes. Traffic, yes, schools, I mean, all around the big picture. But they followed the letter, that's the very unfortunate part. I mean, for us, not them.
So I have a question. Then if applications like this, if it doesn't matter, you know, if you're saying that, never mind, I figured it out.
I think I know what you're saying, I know where you're going with this. There's been instances where something's came up and we had just cause to squash it or get it revamped, get a development agreement in place like we did with the previous one this evening. This one is
Already
in the state where I don't think we can do that.
Well, hypothetically speaking, can we, as part of the development agreement, say we want the commercial done first to approve this?
Sorry, I heard something that may not have been legally correct about development agreements. Development agreements, they can be required as a condition of rezoning. I don't know if that resolves concerns of the council. I just wanted to offer that as a point of legal clarification. There are often, people think of them as annexation and rezoning, but it's actually rezoning that triggers development agreements as a possible requirement.
And does it have to have the same stipulation? I guess that is the reason why we're going to do this is because Kuna is 90% residential, we want more commercial. Is that a simple enough reason, or?
Development agreements are a contract. You can't impose them on a developer. They have to agree to it as a condition of the rezone. And you have the power, though, to basically require, it says, the language is, each governing board may by ordinance adopt or amend in its accordance with the notice and hearing, require or permit as a condition of rezoning that an owner developer make a written commitment concerning the use or development of the subject parcel. And so the development agreement is something as a condition of rezoning, so you can require as a condition of rezoning that they make a written commitment regarding the use of the parcel. Now, I'm trying to think through this on the fly here a little bit. If they won't agree to your conditions, is that a basis to deny? I think that's the question. Ultimately, it's a contract that the parties have to come to, but it does say you can require or permit as a condition of rezoning. You can require. So I think the council can require commitments in a development agreement, yes.
Could we require a different density?
No, that's completely changing the application.
But in the end, does that actually change anything?
No.
That's what I'm saying. You know, we sit up here as a group and always complain that there's only 10% tax on commercial and 90%, and then we turn around and we put in 90% housing and 10%, the numbers don't ever change.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, so, I mean, it sounded to me, from the way Mark just explained it, then that is a possible, I guess that's something that we can play, is we want the development agreement, because if they were to not agree to that, then that is a reason to deny rezoning. Do I understand that correctly?
I believe it could be, yes. And you'd have to identify what the conditions are that you're looking for, and they have to be actually consistent with your comp plan and, loop of it, as long as they are, yes.
Well, he's just saying have the commercial done first, right?
But again, in the end, does that do anything for us? And why would you want to make it hard on the developer just because, again, I mean, that's all we're getting out of it is,
Yeah, I don't want to
we're
be
going to make them do this first so they can do the other, and it just puts a burden on them to get through the project. And I'm either way here.
Yeah, I get it. We don't want to put a burden on him, but I'm thinking about the people that it's actually going to
Oh, I know,
affect.
everybody's going to get a burden. Yeah, I understand that completely.
Well,
It feels like if we're gonna have to do it, like the commercial, that was my thoughts on it. I do understand it's a burden to the developer.
I think we should address that.
Physical location.
Mixed use. However, we need to address that mixed use when we updated it in 22. Was it 22 that we updated it? We should address that sooner rather than later. Because it's obviously been a consistent problem every time we see it.
I just saw the advertisement for the committee.
All right.
Yeah, I'll announce that here at the end.
How many years can we table it?
I don't recommend a moratorium by just not taking action, I'll say that.
Not moratorium, I'm thinking, I'm trying to come up with ways to serve the citizens better.
Ask your mom.
She wanted
She left left me alone. I'm
No, I'm just talking about in the old days.
Supervised.
If they asked that, they would say glass
All
down,
right.
and say glass down, then you don't get an answer.
Do you have anything else? No. I make a motion that we approve case number 20-03-ZC, 20-06-S, 20-14-DR.
I'll second it under protest.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Did you say aye?
He seconded
Waiting
it.
for that dramatic pause. Aye.
That motion carries.
Mayor, can we do a roll call vote, please?
It was unanimous, but.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't hear certain people. So.
Did you need me to say aye again? Okay.
It was the dramatic pause. For you. All right, that takes us to item 8A.
Yeah, that's a rough one. So I pulled up here, and regarding the audio, I was trying to. The audio there's a little bit all wonky, so I was trying to add some filters, compressors, and stuff. But you can see here the actual commercial part. It appears to be phase 6, if that is commercial. I'm not even sure. You know what? Don't. I'm not looking at it that deeply. I'm pretty sure it's phase 6. Let me see here. Phase 6 to be determined. And what they were saying, they want the commercial side coming first. Let me see if I can find that. Now we are going super deep into the weeds. No, the phase does not. All right, I mean, I'm going to have to start looking in extra files. I don't want to do that live. And I think for the general part, you guys get the sense. Now, is one of the things that was brought up was the development agreement, to the extent that they probably, if they wanted to, could have tabled the situation to review with legal counsel about what sort of things they could provide in a development agreement. But in the end, what they were saying is, still they're kind of trapped by this City of Kuna future land use. And what the attorney was saying is, this is basically a big old advertisement to developers, come here and I guess rezone. And that this concept of mixed use, it was Councilman Bruce stated that it caught him off guard, that it could be used as basically as to some degree high for apartment buildings. That's my general understanding. But anyway, congratulations if you made it this far. But these are some of the challenges that. Yeah, I mean, well, they discussed it in depth. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.